Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my May reading wrap-up video. Two things before we jump on in. I do have the fan on over here because it's hot, so if you hear it, I apologize. Also, the curtain's going to be blowing a little bit because of the fan, so just disregard that. So to start this video off, I'm going to show you all of the books that were on my May TBR, and then we'll jump into what I read. So this was the May TBR. We have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, The Fine Print, Unbirthday, If He Had Been With Me, When in Rome, and The Hating Game. So that was 6 books, and I didn't do too hot. So these 4 here, I didn't read at all. So let's just start with the first thing that I read this month. So the first book that I have my reading journal here. And I also have my iPad with the Goodreads because I have some books that are ebooks that I don't have like the actual copy of because they're ebooks. So the first thing on my reading journal is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This, I will say, is the only book, like full book, like from my TBR basically, that I read. The full thing. So, and it did take me a little bit longer than it usually does to get through this. Not because it was a big book, not because it was a bad book. It was just, and that's also why I didn't read a ton this month, is because I was just so busy getting prepped and prepared and ready for my Disney trip that I did not have the time to read. I do mostly read at work, which that may sound strange, but I read more at work than I do at home. And I was getting ready for going on vacation at work, so I didn't have a lot of time to read, so it did take me longer to get through this because of that. If that were not a factor in it, I probably would have flown through this book. So I'm actually going to pull this up here so I can read to you everything. So my thoughts on this book, and again, I'm just going to read straight from my reading journal. That's why I have the thoughts written out so I can share them in the video. So I loved this book. It had me sucked in and trying to figure out who did it and what happened. I really enjoyed the way it was written. The characters were great. I loved how Pip just took it upon herself to dig into this case and prove what really happened. So the premise of this book is Pip, or Pippa. Her name's Pippa. She goes by Pip. She's a senior in high school, and her senior project, I guess, is to look into this murder that happened in 2014, so 5 years ago, of then high school seniors Andy Bell and her boyfriend Sal. They were both murdered and killed. So Pip is trying to figure out what really happened because she believes that Sal is innocent, because Sal is believed to have murdered Andy and then killed himself. So Pip doesn't believe that that's what happened, so she's trying to prove that Sal's innocent and figure out what really happened. So this is a young adult book though, so it's not too crazy, and obviously it's a mystery, which this is my first mystery of the year, I think, actually. So I love a good mystery. This book also, I didn't even tell you what I rated it. I rated this a 5. Absolutely loved it. Like I said, if I had not been so busy this month, I would have flown through this book so quick. It was so good, so captivating, and just easy to read. I really, really enjoyed this book. It had you sucked in from the beginning, like I said. So I don't want to go too long on each of these books because I tend to talk a lot in these videos. So that's basically the what's what with this book. And like I said, this was the only like full actual book that I read this month. But if you don't count the ebooks, because the ebooks are like 100 pages or less. So they're not like full like books like this. So this is the only real book that I read this month. So it was a good one though. That definitely a good one. The next thing I have in here is the first ebook. So this is all of the ebooks are part of the Improbable Meet Cute series. So I read the first one, The Exception to the Rule. This is what it looks like here. And the reason that I read these is because I got a free 2-month, what would you call it? It's not a subscription, but a trial. Free 2-month trial to Kindle Unlimited. So that's where I was able to, where and how I was able to read these books. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to. So The Exception to the Rule is the first one in this series. It's by Christina Lauren. This book was 101 pages, so this was the longer of the ones that I've read, but it only took me like a day to read it, so they're really easy to read. I rated this a 4. So I wrote, this is my first ebook that I've read. Although it was short, it was so cute. I loved this book. The first half was just emails between C and T. I thought it was very interesting and made it easy to read. I love the connection that they had over the course of 10 years. I really like the way it was written and put together. So with this one, it's basically, also all of these books in this series take place on Valentine's Day. So that's interesting. So basically, so the two main characters are C and T. You find out their actual names later on in the story, but the first like half of the book, like I said, is just emails between the two of them. So and how this becomes a thing is one of them, I'm not sure, I can't remember which one, but one of them sends an email to the other thinking that it's a teacher and it's not, it's another student, and it happens to be on Valentine's Day. So then every Valentine's Day over the course of 10 years, they email each other. Until like the end of the story when they actually end up meeting in person. And it's really interesting, and I thought it was so cute and just a really easy read. So that was the next one that I read. So then I started the fine print. Well, actually, I started the fine print after I finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which was the day I arrived in Disney. I finished this one, and then I started this one, and I didn't obviously read. I didn't read it all the rest of that week until the day I left, when I read at the airport and on the plane. And I actually, at the moment, have DNF'd this book, which I guess you would consider it to be my first DNF of the year, because Binding 13, I soft DNF'd and then picked it up again later that month. This one, I don't foresee myself picking up again anytime soon, so for now, it's just a DNF. I'm sure at some point later on down the road, I'll go back to it. I did leave the bookmark in, though, where I left off. So, if you can tell, that's how much of it I read. And I did write my thoughts for it, like the reasoning that I DNF'd it. So I wrote, I was really bored. The story was moving really slow. Nothing was captivating me. Too slow burn for me, although I'm not against picking this book up again in the future. So, like I said, I just couldn't get into it. It was just, which is a little bit disappointing, because this book is basically like Disney World, but not. Like, it takes place in Florida, at a theme park, and they have creators, and rides that are similar to Disney World, apparently, is what I've been told, because my sister has read this book. So she said that they have a ride in here that's like similar to Haunted Mansion. And the name of the park is called Dreamland. So it seems like it's very similar to Disney World, which you would think I would love, but I'm just not getting into. I wasn't getting into it. So I ended up stopping on chapter 21, page 164. And this book is over 400 pages, so I didn't even get halfway. But I was just really bored. It was moving slowly. I just couldn't get into it. So, like I said, for now, I've DNF'd it, but I don't foresee that being a permanent DNF. I will probably pick it up at some point. Maybe it is something I'm not in the mood for right now. I'm not really sure. So, that one didn't finish. And that was it for like the actual like TBR books. I didn't touch any of the other 4. The rest of the books that I read this month are more of the ebooks, that little series. I read 3 more of them. So the second book in the series is called Worst Wingman Ever, and it's by Abby. I'm not gonna say her name right. I don't know how to say her last name. I know I've heard it. I know who she is, but I'm gonna butcher it if I try to say it. So I'm not going to. So this one I also rated a 4, and the premise of this one is, let's see. Oh, this was the one. Okay, so the main characters are Holly and John, and Holly is dealing with her grandmother's death, and she's reeling from a bad breakup. And okay, I'm just gonna read my thoughts. So my thoughts on it, I said this was a very cute and heartwarming story. I thought the way John and Holly communicated in the beginning was unique and kind of cute. Very much enjoyed. So the way that they communicate is basically John puts a note on Holly's windshield, thinking that it's his brother's girlfriend's car. And obviously it's not, it's Holly's. And so once he realizes that he messed up, he ends up putting, I think it was probably a couple days after, he puts another note on her windshield, and they kind of like find a way to like communicate through, like he'll put notes on her windshield, and I don't remember how she left notes for him, but they kind of communicated like that until they actually ended up meeting in person. And I don't know, it was just a really cute story. That one was 61 pages. So again, really, really short. Finished that in a day. I pretty much finished them all in a day because they're all really short. So then the next one, the third one in that series, is Rosie and the Dreamboat. This one's by Sally Thorne, which actually is the author of The Hating Game. So that's cool. This one was 44 pages, so even shorter. They keep getting shorter and shorter. This one I rated a 4.5. So far, this one's been my favorite out of all of them. And my thoughts were, it was kind of silly, but so cute. I loved how Leo sat by Rosie's side the whole time before they even knew what each other looked like. They had a connection. So cute. So this one is, so Rosie and her sister are going to the spa, again, on Valentine's Day. So her and her sister are at the spa, and Rosie gets locked inside of this like flotation tank is what it's called. And so the fire department gets called, and there's all the people who are trying to get her out, and she's stuck in there for quite a few hours. But there's one firefighter in particular who is sitting outside of the tank, kind of like keeping her company, talking her through everything. And through all that time that she's locked inside of there, they're talking and they're connecting. And so it was such a cute story. And so when they get her out, they instantly are just like together, and it's so cute. I I really enjoyed that one the most for sure. And then the last, there's 6 books in this series, and I only read 4 of them, so I still have 2 more to go. But so the last book that I read in May is the 4th book, and it's called Drop, Cover, and Hold On. This one I rated a 3.5, and I actually don't have my thoughts written out for this one yet because I just finished this like a few days ago. So I'll just read I'll summarize the book description and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts like on a whim. So this one is, the main character's name is Daisy, and she has, there's this bakery that she goes to like all the time, pretty much every day. I think she goes every single day. And she, on Valentine's Day, decides that she's done going to the bakery. She's never going there ever again because the owner of the bakery, she thinks hates her and just he's rude and just isn't nice to her. So then she ends up going into the bakery anyways, and not too long after she enters into the bakery, there's an earthquake. This does take place in California. So there's an earthquake, and after the earthquake is over, they discover that they're trapped inside of the bakery because the sign of the bakery falls and falls right in front of the door, so they can't get out. And then the back door is like something with the electric wires or something. So they're trapped inside the bakery. So obviously they get to talking. She comes to find out that he doesn't hate her. In fact, he has feelings for her. And she thinks that he's handsome and good looking and whatnot, but she never really felt that way about him because he's always rude and thought that he hated her. So, but that's kind of like the basis of it. Again, it's a really cute story. I really think all of these are really cute, and it's also cute, even cuter. I think that they all take place on Valentine's Day. I don't know. I don't know what it was about this one. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad. I still rated it like a 3.5. But I just, for some reason, didn't love this one as much as I liked the other ones. I don't really know. I think that's why also I haven't written my thoughts out, because I really don't know what my thoughts are on this book. But that's it. So I read 4 of the Improbable Meet Cute books from that series. Like I said, I have 2 more left. And then I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and part of like this much of the fine print. So I'm hoping that June is my redemption month and I can get through a lot of the books, if not all of the books. I've been doing 6 the last two months. I've been picking out 6 books, even though my average is 5. So for June and July, I'm only picking out 5. So I'm hoping that I can get through all 5. And hopefully I can redeem myself and get back into a good streak of reading. So that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a magical day. Bye, guys.